Hey everybody, Shane here. I picked up a set of these YBI pickups from Amazon for 20 bucks for the set. I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing of them. I'm going to crack them open, see how they're constructed, and then I'm going to do a little sound demo and show you what we got inside. Alright, let's check it out.
So these are nominally humbucker-sized P90s, and I'll start by mentioning that a typical P90 will not fit into a humbucker-sized casing no matter what you do, mostly due to the fact that the bobbins and coils on them are wider and they require more space than a humbucker has to give. Now, Gibson pioneered these so-called humbucker-sized P90s, and they gave them the designation of P94. That being said, a P94 is kind of what I'm expecting to see when I open this thing up. The design looks great if you're going for a retro look with these chrome rings and the pearloid front. They're going to fit perfectly on a retro build that I'm working on for a later project. And the neck and bridge pickup are not marked, though reviews say they all tend to be around the same. They have the same spacing of the pole pieces on both pickups, but I did take readings with my multimeter. I noted that one of these was reading around 7K and the other around 8K. The 8K pickup is the one that I will install in the bridge position. It's the one that I'm going to open up in this video, and it's the one that I'll be showing sound demos of later. These casings are soldered on, but I was having a problem with all that metal acting as a heat sink, and I couldn't effectively desolder them, so I had to bust out the Dremel with a grinding wheel to properly disassemble this pickup. Once I got inside, I saw pretty much what I expected to see. It's a fairly beefy but short single coil, something like you would see on a Telecaster bridge pickup, and it's got a 2-magnet setup that I'll show you in just a minute. I couldn't tell at first if these pickups were wax potted, so I started peeling off the tape on the coil and the wax started flaking off. So this is already a step above the quality that I was expecting from these things for their price point, and bonus points, I don't have to do the wax potting on these pickups myself. Now let's look at the magnets. These are set up in a way that the magnets of a P90 are set up, where there's 2 bar magnets that have their like poles facing each other, and they're contacting a centerpiece that the pole pieces are threaded through. So overall, these seem to be largely made in the style of a P90, but with the coil dimensions just being a little bit thinner in order to fit into the humbucker-sized case. It should give a pretty good sound that's mellower than a normal single coil, but still has more high-end and a little more clarity than a typical P90. But let's put this one back together and get it ready for installation.
Alright, so after my initial investigation here, I think what's going on here is they're a little bit more like a Telecaster bridge pickup, where it's just an overly beefy single coil. Now they do carry over some P90 design cues, such as the magnet arrangement at the bottom with 2 magnets touching the pole pieces, where single coils often have either the pole pieces themselves made out of magnet or one single magnet along the bottom of the pole pieces in the case of cheaper designs. In order to show you what it sounds like, I'm going to throw one of these pickups into one of my guitars real quick. I've decided for this test to use my old Ibanez called Rose Red. It was actually the second guitar I ever rebuilt, and it's kind of a mess, but I'll show you a little bit of it as we throw it on the bench to do some modifications. Alright, let's go.
Now, to give you the short version of this guitar's story, I traded off a wah pedal for it when I was a teenager, and when I acquired the guitar, it was missing all but one pickup, and its entire wiring harness was hanging out the back. Its paint was destroyed, it had been graffitied over, it had been carved into, and at some point I have been told it had spent 3 days at the bottom of somebody's pool. Now, I'm not sure if the last part was true, because by the time I got it, it was plenty dry, and while it was heavily damaged, nothing was warped on it. But either way, I tore it apart, I stripped it, I stained the body, I put it all back together with just the one bridge pickup and a volume control wired to a front-facing output jack and called it a day. Later on, I added these weight relief holes, and I did the wood carving of a rose, cementing its name as Rose Red from there on out. Now, I've swapped a few pickups in it over the years, and while I've always found the guitar really comfortable to play, I've never had a pickup in it that I'm terribly happy with. So what I did here, since this guitar has such a simple wiring harness anyway, when I desoldered the old pickup, I soldered in 2 fresh leads, and I soldered alligator clips onto them, so that this way, in the future, I can do quick pickup swaps without having to solder and desolder each time that I swap it out. Now I can just clip the leads in place. After that, I pulled out this old pickup, which I think is an old GFS Fat Pat from before they started selling their quick plug system. And then I installed the new retro style P94 for a test. just a touch of reverb like this, those kind of twangy tones. So a little bit of country kind of riffage goes well here. But it distorts pretty well also. Old school AFI here. Classic rock. Yes. Yes, it can. If I back off the distortion a little bit, I can actually get some pretty decent Texas blues, too. I think that these are probably best used in the context of kind of classic rock tones, those almost thin, kind of twangy, clean tones, places like that. I'll throw a little bit of clean chord strumming at the end here so that you can see what that sounds like. I was really happy with these. 20 bucks for the set, $10 a pickup. I'm actually going to keep this one in my Ibanez, and then I'm going to utilize the other one from the set for another guitar I'm building. In the meantime, I've got a couple more sets coming in the mail because I want to put a full set in a retro style guitar that I'm working on building right now. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen a little bit of it. And that's all I've got for you today. Check out the cards or check out the channel if you want to see some of the other stuff I've been playing around with, and hopefully we'll see you around.